What's up guys, I'm back with another video. Today we'll be looking at the INTP. This time the example should be a bit more relatable than the world's #1 chess player. The person is Jarvis Cocker. He's a very famous musician back in the 90s. He's from Britain. Even if you know him or not, this interview is a good example, in my opinion. And it's from 1996, so before the internet. It's raw and it makes it more real. So hope you enjoy.
Could you tell me what we can expect from tonight from the concert?
Well, I can't really tell you exactly what you can expect because I don't really know what to expect myself. But that's the way I like it, you know. I like to. That's why live music's a good thing, because until you put the audience together with the band, you never know what's going to happen. It's like a chemical reaction, you know. And sometimes it's like mixing water and oil and it doesn't mix and it's terrible. And sometimes it's like putting water and magnesium and it goes like that. So I'm hoping for the second type, but you never know until it starts.
But how do you prepare for the show, for the touring?
I don't know, you train at drinking a lot. You have to be very, very good at drinking, and I've been practicing a lot now. And then you have to be good at smoking lots of cigarettes as well, but still being able to sing. And then you have to remember to eat now and again.
Okay, so it's a very dry British humor, not to be taken seriously, of course, but at the same time, the use of analogies like mixing water with magnesium and that quick wit, it's generally characteristic of extroverted intuition. As far as the hand movements, they're kind of all over the place.
But isn't it a physical stress to be on stage often?
Yeah, I suppose so, but it's the only exercise I ever get. So it's, you know, it's a good job. Otherwise, that's why I'm quite thin still. If we ever stopped touring, I'd probably be out here, you know, like Orson Welles or something.
Do you prefer touring, or do you also love to be in the studio?
I don't love to be in the studio. The thing I prefer most out of anything to do with music is actually writing songs, because that's the most exciting bit, when you suddenly play something and you realise that it could be a song and it could be something good, and you get that kind of like a little flash of something's happening, and that's the most exciting thing. Then playing live can be really exciting. Being in the studio is more stressful because it's like trying to capture the spirit of something, and that can always be difficult, and if you don't get it right, then you feel really bad.
I've said this before, but generally speaking about TI, and especially in INTPs, TI can come off as very, not childish, but more kind of like juvenile, a bit carefree, doesn't really take things too seriously, but at the same time, when it comes to logic and logical deduction, can be totally ruthless and emotionless. And he, on the other hand, is very playful, very quirky, open-minded, always looking for possibilities, very quick-witted. So if you put those two together in that order, you usually get INTP.
How do you work? Where did you get the ideas for the songs?
Oh, just anywhere, you know. It's just people who I meet and things that I've done in my life. Not always happy things, but just I can only really sing about things that have happened to me because I need to feel hello. I need to feel emotionally involved in what I'm doing. Otherwise, I can't be bothered to do it. Hi. Because in the rest of my life, I'm not a very emotional person. So it's only really on stage or in songs that I get emotional, and so I guess that's why I have to write about things that are real and mean something to me.
Why aren't you emotional?
I don't know.
The rest of your life?
I will have to probably go and see a psychiatrist or something for him to have a look in my cot.
Alright, I want to go over a couple things here that are important, especially with the 8th slot, because it relates to what was just said, and I haven't really been talking about the 8th, in my opinion, on how it works in my recent videos. So the way that I see the 8th slot is whatever functions there, it's going to have a very private nature, in the sense that you're just going to want to do it your own way. a lot of people will tell you that it's the weakest function because it's the last one. I don't find that to be true, but at the same time, it can operate in a sort of unconventional, unorthodox manner, meaning that A slot Fi is not going to be like first slot Fi at all. INTPs will have their own personal values. However, they won't like talking about them generally, and whenever that sort of question arises, they'll want to talk about it through an objective lens, kind of like, well, my stance is similar to what this group of people believe, and I like this, or my friend said this, and I agree with that. Very objective and harmonious in a way. For slot Fe, it's kind of like, hey, if you're good, I'm good. Let's just keep it that way. That sort of a thing. This can be similar to second slot and sixth slot, except that the sixth slot Ni here is going to be the strongest out of these four because it's in the sixth. However, because it's introverted, it's a bit harder to see in terms of behavior, but cognitively it'll be quite strong for INTPs and INFPs. So NE is kind of like objective, pattern recognition, conceptual reasoning, the ability to see multiple different possibilities in a concept or a thing, connect the dots, arrive at a conclusion, and at the same time being able to explain how you got there by the, sort of like connecting the dots and see how one thing relates to another thing in order to arrive at a bigger picture. And I, on the other hand, it's more of a synthesis of ideas that wants to reach a singular conclusion. And I wants to look at what is the deeper meaning of a thing, what is the intrinsic essence of a thing, that underlying truth. A good word for Ni that I haven't mentioned yet is verisimilitude, conceptual truth, which is why sometimes it can be related to TI and accuracy, but I don't want to get into that now. So to conclude here, INTPs will have, they'll look for those deeper meanings. However, when push comes to shove, they're always going to fall back on that objective intuition, that extroverted intuition that is able to connect the dots and see all the possibilities.
Do you have musical idols?
I don't agree with having idols of any kind, but there's people who I respect and who I admire what they've done. For instance, Serge Gainsbourg, Scott Walker. And I like bands that are around now. I like Oasis and I like Supergrass. I like Stereolab. I like lots of music from different... I like a lot of film soundtracks and stuff like that. Any kind of music that kind of somehow gives you an idea of the person behind it, when you listen to a song, you feel that you get to know something about that person. It's like a little bit of their personality. I don't like people who hide behind music. I think they should use music to say something about themselves.
How would you explain your music?
Like this. I'd mind that. Well, you can't explain music. That's a good thing. That's why people like it, because it's a tenuous thing, because you can't say how it works. You hear a certain arrangement of notes, and for some reason, when you hear it, it makes you feel good. And there's no kind of logical reason why that should happen. It's something that kind of goes straight to there, and that's why people like music. And so the more people try and explain it and say why it does something, the further they get away from the spirit of it. Man.
Okay, so is this guy a scientist? No. Is he going to pull out a notebook and start doing advanced calculus on it? Probably not. And this is why stereotypes don't really work. And just from my own experience, especially with male INTPs, they'll have this nonchalant, non-serious, like melancholic almost vibe to them, where they'll goof around a lot and not take things too seriously, including social appearance, status, power, money, stuff like that. They just want to have a logical understanding of how everything works.
How did you start your career? How does it come? Tell me.
We started like most bands start. We all went to school together, and I wasn't any good at football or anything like that. And so I had nothing to do on a Friday night. So my mother used to go out of the house to drink with her friends. So I invited some of my friends over and I said, let's have a band. And it was more just an excuse to have some friends around the house, really, to try and get some friends. But we all had instruments and we played them through the hi-fi and it sounded like... And we just kept doing it until it started to sound like music. And that's how it started. I mean, lots of bands start like that. It was just something to do, because we were bored. Sheffield's quite a boring city, you know, not much to do.
You don't have a girlfriend? Or...
Oh, yeah. But she doesn't like me.
Is she always with you when you're on tour? Or?
Oh, no. Touring, that would be terrible. I'd kill myself. It's two separate worlds. You can't mix business and pleasure.
Why not?
It just doesn't work. From my experience, I've tried it, it just doesn't work at all. For me, you know, for some people I suppose they can do it, but I couldn't do it.
But how do you relax when you're on tour?
I don't. I just go crazy.
But what do you do when you have free time?
I went swimming today. You know, swimming, or sometimes go and look at churches or paintings, just like a tourist, really. Sometimes I'll play my guitar, and I also do like sleeping. Ik maakte de slapen. Is that right? Ich maakte slapen. Möchte slapen.
Do you like football?
Fußball?
Yes.
Sehr schön. Not particularly. I'd say I wasn't very sporty at school. I'll watch it. I mean, I know the European thing's on now, and I find that interesting because that's an event. But, you know, weekly football is boring. But I've watched a few matches, and it's funny, you know. I mean, I'm not nationalistic at all. I think there's nothing to be proud of being British, really, you know. But it's funny how when you are watching England play, even though you know you don't want to, you do want them to win. It's funny how somehow buried within you there must be some kind of little organism that makes you want your country to win. Strange.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. If you're an INTP, you should check out Jarvis's song, I Never Said I Was Deep. You might like it. If you enjoyed this analysis, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And remember, verisimilitude.